All right, so this is what I'm talking about. Imagine this brand, Google. We already have how many colors here? Four. Okay, four colors. So how do you know that after blue you should use this and you should use this and use this? How do you know that these four colors can combine and really be good to the eyes? All right, so that's the next stage we're going to talk about, choosing your color scheme. And this is another brand called Asana. Asana is a project management app, I think, for Android and both iOS. These are five colors, all right, being used for one brand. So how do you know that these colors can actually work? And this is Slack, also five, all right. So you see that colors are really not that easy to pick. So there are projects where you're going to be working with a lot of colors, while there are projects where you're going to be working with maybe one color, two colors. So depending on the project. So this is how you use the color wheel, how you actually mix colors to know what to pick. So we call this our color scheme. So when you talk about color scheme, you're talking about pairing colors, matching colors. So remember, we looked at the color wheel, and what forms the color wheel is our primary colors, our secondary colors, and our tertiary colors. So the very first method or color scheme is what we call complementary color scheme. So when you talk about the complementary color scheme, you're talking about colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. They actually work very well. So if colors are opposite each other on the color wheel, then they match. They can actually go together in a particular design. So if you're choosing blue, you should look at the color opposite blue to know what's going to match, just like what we have here, colors that are opposite. Now, when you talk about split complementary, you're talking about colors that are not just opposite, but after being opposite, they're actually closer to each other. So unlike this one that is really straight, directly opposite, this one talks about it's being close. They form more of this shape, like the letter A, like you're drawing an A sign. So colors that are really one step away. Okay, so when you look at this color wheel, the color in between this one and this two is just one. So take this, keep one, go to the other, and then draw your line up. So this color scheme is what we call split complementary. So if you want to work with three colors, then you should consider using this scheme, or you should consider using a triadic scheme. Okay, triadic seems more of a wider range than our split complementary. So they work like opposite, but not really opposite. So you have this shape. So what happens here is when you have your triadic on this shape, all you need to do is twist this shape. That's what you have here, these balls, these lines. If I turn it and it moves to this place, it's going to definitely choose new color sets for you. So that's how you match it to know that this color it's actually going to go with this, and it's actually going to go with this. So this is another color scheme. Then our monochromatic. When you talk about mono, you're talking about one. So when you hear the word mono, it's talking about one, and monochromatic talks about one color when you choose one color. But what happens about monochromes? Okay, I'll talk about that later. Monochromes is just one color. Analogous is really an interesting one. So if you're considering, as we go further, I'm going to show us that when you want to use gradients, you must understand analogous. Analogous is a very good option when you're working with gradients. So analogous talks about colors that are just next to each other on the color wheel. So it's good for gradients because it gives a blend. Okay, it gives this blend. So the color wheel goes gradually red, reddish orange to yellow. You see how it's fading You see the color just going gradually. So it's very good when you're working on, when you want to use gradients for your design. Analogous is a very good color scheme to consider. And our square, okay, shows us colors that are just directly opposite each other, but this time our square looks like double of our complementary. All right, colors opposite each other, and this is when you're working with 4 color schemes. And then dyadic is just a little close to this split complementary, but the difference is dyadic, dye, you're talking about 2 colors, okay, 2 colors. And tetradic just talks about same thing as the dye, but tetra standing for 4. So you're seeing the shapes and how it works. So when you have your color wheel, set and you begin it, sometimes you can do this manually, but there are tools that you can use online, which I'm going to show us on Thursday. These tools that you can use online to show you complementary, split complementary, triadic, monochrome, analogous, dyadic, tetradic, any one you really want to use. So before you use a color, what happens is you first of all know your base color. When we talk about base color, you're talking about what's the major color for this project. So you want to work for a startup, you want to do a project for a startup, let's say branding projects for a startup, and then you choose the color green. So now that you've chosen the color green, do you want to just use one color, which is green, that's sticking with the monochromatic, or you want to use more colors that you using integrating other colors should be intentional? That's after you've read the brief. Probably, okay, they're a startup and they want to serve young people and all of that. So when you've read the brief and you know all of this pieced together, and then you have green as your base color, what you do is, okay, monochromatic, you have green as your base color. So what you do is to begin to put your base color green and then match what's opposite green. That's if you want to use complementary, and the complementary color to green should be red. I should show, yeah, I think around red, this range, either red or red orange should be the complementary color for green. So you will decide, using the complementary, does it work for me, or should I use the analogous? So when you talk about analogous, you're sliding this way or this way. So what's important is knowing your base color first of all. And when you know your base color, there are tools that can help you begin to compare whether to use either to use the triadic or complementary, either one that you choose to use for that particular project. So what's most important is your base color. So in our next class, I'll show us tools that are online, and then right on Adobe Illustrator, tools that you can use to actually help you with this color scheme. It's not something you have to cram, okay? It's something you have to really do often. So when you use this website is color.adobe.com. So you can use this to actually match your colors. It gives you great, makes your work super easy, like super easy. So this is what you do. Now in design, when you're working on any tool, what we colors are in codes. Unlike when you know blue, red, this, your software, your design software don't understand when you're typing blue, green. They don't understand that. They understand codes, they understand figures. So we call that our hex code, H-E-X, hex code in design. So when you hear the word hex, you're actually talking about the color code. Someone can use hex code or ask you what's the color code. So codes are what works in design. So let's assume a particular base color, a particular base color that we're going to work with right now. So I'm going to be using a particular yellow color, and this is the color code for this F6B 721. So they come in they're actually 6 digits in number. Okay, and they come with both figures and alphabets. I think the alphabets are from A, B, C, D, E to F, from A to F, while the figures range from 0 to 9. Okay, so now this is our base color, yellow. So you see that it has influenced everything here. Now, what color scheme are we now? These are analogous colors that are really close to each other. So if I'm using this color, they're telling me that probably this color is going to be a good try. This is going to be a good try for this project. This is going to be a good try, and this is going to be a good try. So these colors, if I'm using the analogous scheme, these 5 colors are going to work well together. But if I want to use the monochromatic, okay, I'm coming. Let me go back to the analogous. Let me make this the base color. I'm coming. F6 B7 2 1. All right. So, I didn't make it the base color earlier before now. So this is the base color. Let's see. Nah, good. We're good to go now. Sorry. So this is the base color when we talk about analog color. And if we're using the analogous color scheme, we see these are colors that are closely related, close in the color wheel, and it's going to give us those analogous colors that can work well for us in this particular project. So you see why analogous work well for gradients. Imagine if I was making a gradient, this is going to really work really well because it gives you a blend of colors that are just close to each other in the color wheel. So if I'm going to be using monochromatic, you see the colors that I'm going to get. All right, one color, but it's just reducing the intensity of the colors for me. All right, and if I was going to use the triadic, all right, the triadic, this is what I'm also going to get of these colors. All right, so it tells me that if I try these colors with this, it's going to work out well. If I'm going to work with complementary, here we have it. This is what's going to come up. Blue works well with yellow. And if I'm using split complementary, there we go. This also works for our split complementary. Double split complementary, it gives you the color, so it's super easy, right? You don't have to stress yourself to begin to think, now that I'm using yellow, what color will go with yellow, what this. Just know your color code, know your base color code, and then begin to check for the particular one that's going to work well for you. So you just by simply clicking, this gives you a wide range of color harmony that you can use to work in your design. So this makes it super easy and simpler for you. Okay, so the website is simplecolor.adobe color.adobe.com. So I'm here. I'm going to show us in our next class how you use this in Illustrator 2. We'll have a tool in Illustrator that helps us out with achieving these same rules and color schemes. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing in our next class, applying shapes and colors to, and I told us to save the first work we did, so we're going to be integrating and adding more stuff to it, And at the end of the day, we're going to have a full work, that's a complete flyer, using those particular details and applying every design principle that we are learning weekly. All right.